I'd hoped you and I could talk about political transition. And I guess what's sort of peculiar about this moment is you have Maduro being removed from power, yet it seems like there hasn't been much of a political transition yet. I imagine the key to that is elections at some point. Are they being talked about? What would they need to look like to remove what I imagine is a huge hurdle here for there being any kind of viable political change?
Well, as we like to say in Crisis Group, a transition is a process, not an event. And one of the things I think that is problematic about the way some people in the opposition regard the term transition and the idea, the concept of transition, is that they don't distinguish between transition and regime change. In other words, transition for them is you leave power, we take power. That's a transition. A transition for us is a process whereby the government that is still in power concedes certain things over a period of time. Elections, at least a presidential election, to my mind, should be closer towards the end of that process than the beginning. One of the reasons why 2024 didn't work, I mean, the presidential election in 2024, which ought to have led to a transition. I mean, the opposition clearly won. The government refused to accept it. Why? Because that would have meant precisely that. You evacuate the presidential palace and we move in. That's not going to work if the people in decision-making positions, many of them armed, say this for us is an existential issue. We can't just hand over power to these people who want to see us behind bars. And that can only be achieved through a thorough process of negotiation. That process of negotiation hasn't even started. But at the moment, we may be in a transition, but not necessarily a transition to democracy. It may be a transition to another form of authoritarian government.